Nancy's question is, as a 5th District Supervisor, you will be the only voice for our unincorporated area. How familiar are each of you with specific problems of Guerneville and Monterey and Occidental and Rio Nido, etc.?
So that is a fantastic question, and I would say that I have spent, since January, just being out and being present in the community as much as possible. In addition to the town halls, I'm pretty sure I've been to every single pancake breakfast, crab feed, fundraiser, or anything in the 5th District. And I actually think that's really important, because those are some of the most important conversations that I've had. And sometimes even when I don't even introduce myself as a candidate, I just go up and strike up a conversation with someone. And I think that one of the things that's most beautiful and most challenging about the job of 5th District Supervisor is that our communities are all so different and distinct. And trying to protect the character of each of those communities and address needs that are as far away from uniform as that you could possibly get. I mean, we have Roseland and we have the Sea Ranch. What do those two communities have in common? I would say absolutely nothing is the answer to that, just like war, what is it good for, right? So I think it's very important to familiarize yourself. And so what I've heard, homelessness is a tremendous concern in Guerneville. I've heard a lot of concerns about the low flow EIR. Septics in the lower Russian River corridor, something that I've heard time and time again, have had many fantastic conversations about. Affordable housing, also a huge concern. And then also actually talking to our local small business owners and the concerns that they have, particularly in Monterey, where basically, we have a decaying downtown because we haven't solved the wastewater treatment problem. And so people literally can't make repairs to their own business. And that used to actually be a huge thriving hub, even bigger than Guerneville. At the time it was on the railroad, and that was where everybody came through. So I would say that I have worked very hard to get out and meet each individual community, and would never call Villa Grande Monterey because that's a huge problem, or drop the from Sea Ranch, because that also shows that you don't know what you're talking about. So I would just say that I think it's very important to get in your car and go out and talk to people, not even as a candidate or in this kind of awkward situation where I'm up here with my microphone being broadcast and videotaped and you're up behind that green thing. I think it's important just to relate one-on-one. And so I really encourage you all to reach out to me. My cell phone number is 483-0443. Seriously, if you want to call, grab coffee, that's when I've had some of the most fantastic conversations. And I really want to bring your voice to the Board of Supervisors, not have a top-down approach, but actually go out in the community, say, hey, what do you want? How do we work on it? Let's work together. And that's kind of my message. So thank you.
It's a really good question, because our communities are so diverse, from Roseland to Sebastopol, to the river communities, to the coastal communities, Cazadero, Timber Cove, Annapolis. But we also have a whole lot of things in common. And I have been walking precincts every day for at least the last several months, and many times a week prior to that. And not for the first time. But as you know, I've walked precincts in these neighborhoods many, many times before. And there is no substitute for getting into somebody's neighborhood and knocking on their door and surprising them with their morning coffee and talking about what their actual neighborhood challenges are. And you hear some interesting things. I was walking in a mobile home park recently in Santa Rosa, and I encountered a woman who had just lost her daughter to cancer. And I encountered a gentleman who was on his way to go volunteer to serve food to the homeless. It's amazing what you learn about our community spirit when you knock on people's doors and you reach out to them wherever they happen to be at that particular moment. But with respect to what our community challenges are, I want to talk about some of the things that are the same. For example, most of our fire districts here are served by volunteer fire departments. And they are struggling finding people who are willing to volunteer. And there's a couple of different reasons for that. One is they're usually younger, and young people can't afford to live here. I have 3 kids. None of them can afford to buy a house here. One of them lives in Sacramento and wants to come home, but she can't afford to because the jobs aren't here and the housing is too expensive. So we have this in common. For all of our communities that are served by volunteer fire departments, we can't get volunteers because they can't afford to live here, or if they are living here, they're working 2 jobs and they don't have the time to get involved in their communities. Septic issues. Now they're different from one community to another. Monterey may have failing septic systems. Occidental does too, but they're trucking their sewage out at great expense. So we're going to have to find different solutions for each community. And that's why I mentioned before how I've worked with you in the past to bring real solutions. For example, we preserved the Jenner Headlands. That was a huge accomplishment for this community and something that will be preserved for generations to enjoy to come. And so we are going to have to work together to craft these individual solutions, because what's going to work in Occidental isn't necessarily going to work in Monterey. And as somebody who has worked with the state, I know that there are sometimes pockets of money available that maybe other people haven't thought about, that we can figure out how we can get our communities together to qualify for and apply for. Housing, again, is another challenge that is community-wide, and my time is up, but what I really want to say is each solution for each community is going to be different. So we have to work on those different solutions together.